समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
As we all know, the situation in Delhi took a dramatic and a regrettable and a sad and painful turn on the 22nd day of the Cockroach Janta Party protests, dharna, and also fast, indefinite fast by Sonam Wangchuk and many other students at the same time. Monday was the day that they had fixed for a march on Parliament of India. Why Monday? Because this is when Parliament was meeting for its monsoon session. So that march did start. However, the police had not permitted the march to go beyond a point, but marchers broke through the barricades which had actually been welded together. But in spite of that, the crowd actually was quite sizable, and we had a large team of reporters, camera people covering it who braved a very difficult situation. All of them came back. All of them came back with eyes burning with tear gas, and some might have taken a few knocks also, but they are brave. They will survive. You've seen all that coverage through the day and through the past many days on our platform in text, in video and audio. And as I'm talking, you will see headlines, thumbnails and screenshots of many of these stories and videos from Monday and the days leading up to that, particularly Saturday and Sunday, when the crowds were really gathering. This is also when a couple of political elements came in. Chandrasekhar Azad of Bhim Army from Uttar Pradesh, who is quite a charismatic leader in his own right, he came in with a bunch of supporters, as did also a group of supporters from Samajwadi Party, Akhilesh Yadav's Samajwadi Party. Akhilesh Yadav's party has come out strongly in support of this protest. Dimple Yadav has been speaking about this. She also visited the protest site and she also spoke about it on the day of the march. All of this then ultimately led to a situation where Sonam Wangchuk had been picked up by the police over the weekend and taken to Safdarjung Hospital because his health was slipping. High Court refused to intervene when his wife went an application to have him handed over to her or taken to another hospital. At the same time, the High Court said he is not detained, he is in the hospital for his health. The High Court noted that there was an issue with his potassium levels, which the doctor said that they were controlling. That is the situation inside the hospital, outside the hospital. All of that happened on the streets of Delhi. That you've seen in our coverage, and if you missed it, then all the stories and the headlines and the screenshots that you've seen and thumbnails on the screen, all the links are available with the description of this video. What we are going to do now is, it is still a developing story, and what we are going to do right now is, we are going to talk about what is at the root of this story. I know the implications of the story are much wider. Not everybody, in fact, barring a few, nobody who is appearing for this protest is somebody who appeared for the NEET exam, which triggered this crisis. They are also here because there is large-scale unemployment or really massive underemployment or hidden unemployment in India. For large categories of people, incomes are not rising as they should have been, and also people's aspirations have gone up. There is also a sense that the government doesn't listen, that the government talks down to us, government thinks it's very popular, it keeps on getting re-elected, so it has to be very popular. So a sense of arrogance has set in the government. So the government talks down to us, as in lecture us, but is not willing to listen to us. And that's got a lot of young people angry. Now that anger had also reflected in the quick cache value that Cockroach Janta Party found for itself. We had featured it in a May Karta Clutter episode. See the thumbnail on your screens. We'll also share a link with you. There we had looked at this phenomenon. In no time, nearly 3 crore people started following the Instagram handle of CJP, which had no real manifesto, no real ideology, but it was a vehicle for grievance. And the fact that so many young Indians had this grievance was quite a stunning realization. At the same time, it's also good in a democracy that these angry young people found a forum of expression. That said and done, this then reflected finally in this protest led by Abhijit Dipke first, the founder of CJP, his partner and co-founder Ashutosh Ranka, and then the profile of the protest suddenly went up when the famous activist from Ladakh, Sonam Wangchuk, who's not quite young as the rest of them, by no means a Gen Zer, which most of the rest of them are, he came and joined in and started an indefinite fast. We no longer say fast unto death. The expression we use is indefinite fast. So he started his indefinite fast. He's done this before. In this case, it has now gone into the 22nd day. Now, that said, the spark of this came from two things. The immediate spark came from that comment by the Chief Justice of India when he was irritated by some lawyer making demands or making what he saw as unfair demands or unfair interventions from the court, saying that every cockroach, and literally tried to clarify by saying that he meant unqualified people, busybodies who come and make a nuisance of themselves. But that metaphor stuck, and that was the one spark. And Abhijit Dipke picked it up and he said, look, all of us unemployed Indian young people or Indian young people who are not getting justice, who have this mass cancellation of exams, we are cockroaches. So that idea caught on. The second spark, the deeper spark, came from the successive failure of the NEET examination. The NEET exam, as we know, is National Eligibility and Entrance Test. NEET, this is for medical college admissions and this is for undergraduate. That means for MBBS. Now, government in its eternal wisdom centralized everything. So this is a case, in my view, this is an editorial comment, a case of over-centralization. And that is something that Tamil Nadu government has been protesting about, and some others have also been complaining about, that if you bring all of this together, and this is literally tens and tens of thousands of seats all over the country. This is not a UPSC exam where at the end of the day, less than 1,000 will be selected. This is a very large exam. All of that has been centralized and this has been handed over to one agency, National Testing Agency, which has its own methods and which by this time also has a sterling record of failure. In 2024, they had failed, and that leakage had taken place in Bihar. That leakage story broke in Bihar. The CBI got involved. Lots of people were arrested, and some bit of mechanics of this operation were caught because in some centers, say 67 people got the top score. That's a statistical impossibility. And that's when the Supreme Court also got involved. But at that time, Supreme Court did not cancel the exam because this leakage was seen to be localized to Bihar. And that is how the problem was also sort of cauterized and localized in that area. The rest of the exam held, the results held. This time, something more difficult happened. I will tell you some basics about what happened this time with this NEET exam, because 2024 was a disaster, but at the same time, it was localized. This time, it was a much bigger problem because it surfaced, the leak was much more widespread, and it was not confined to a geography of a district or of a couple of districts, etc. This time, it became much wider. It at least had two full big states, Rajasthan and Maharashtra, and there were investigations elsewhere also. So there was a point when the government of India lawyers told the Supreme Court. Supreme Court was concerned about this. They had intervened the last time. Supreme Court again was hassled about this. So the government said the Prime Minister is directly seized of this matter. And then we saw Indian Air Force transport aircraft used to transport these papers, the bundles of these papers. So C-17 is giant transport aircraft, C-70s, which transport tanks to Ladakh. These aircraft were used to transport these papers. These papers were also kept in strong rooms. They were also secured with QR codes, etc. And in the process, Intelligence Bureau also got involved, and they carried out raids in students' hostels in Bihar as well. So first of all, we took notice of this in a 50-word edit, saying that if the IAF has to be called out for something as small, as simple, elementary as conducting an exam, this is not administrative failure. This is institutional collapse. But if you want to really understand how serious that collapse is, you're just holding an undergraduate examination. For that, the Supreme Court is involved. The Prime Minister is directly supervising the process. Indian Air Force has been called in to transport material. Intelligence Bureau is carrying out raids. This is almost like handling a full-fledged war within ourselves. If a country's institutional collapse is when a country's institutional collapse is so comprehensive, what will happen when we deal with a genuine national emergency or maybe a large-scale threat from a foreign power? This showed many gaps in our governance, and that is what has led to this widespread anger as well. Now, what we'll do is, I will tell you very briefly what happened in this case, in this year's NEET. 2024 NEET failure, we had spoken about. That's when our reporter Nutan had also joined me, Nutan Sharma. Today, I will tell you the basics of what happened, and then for the details in terms of how the mechanics of this conspiracy worked, of this leakage and this milli-bhagat of paper setters, of paper solvers, of examinees, of examiners, and also distributors and sellers. We'll have Ananya Bhardwaj, who's our editor looking after national security. She'll be joining with me in just a couple of minutes. So first of all, what happened? This year's exam was scheduled for 3rd of May. By 7th of May, Rajasthan DG of Police Rajiv Sharma, he got a tip-off that there was a guest paper in circulation, that it had been in circulation, which looked like a leaked paper. That guest paper had 410 questions. Of this, 120 questions in chemistry and biology were the same as in the real main paper. The main paper was now known because examination had already taken place. 120. So 120 means 120 of the 180 questions in the main paper had leaked. Not only were the questions the same, but these are questions where you have options, you have to tick boxes. Even the options given under these questions were the same. So there was no doubt that a leakage had taken place. Now, all of these leaks were found in Sikar district of Rajasthan. CBI on May 12 registered a case. By this time, the courts were getting involved, people were reaching Supreme Court, there was widespread anger, and on the part of the government, there was a massive embarrassment also. Embarrassment, cover up, I won't say, because they couldn't have covered up anything. Now, the previous time, they were saved a little bit because they were able to localize the leak in some areas of Bihar. This time, there was no such place to hide. This time, the leak was in Rajasthan, Maharashtra, maybe elsewhere too. So the entire exam was cancelled, and it was rescheduled for June 21, which it dutifully took place. Now, what happens? A fresh exam takes place, people start thinking, I must have got more marks the last time. This time I got only 500. Last time I had got 620. Now nobody saw what happened the last time because that exam was cancelled. But lots of people at the protest also were carrying mark sheets saying that I got so many more earlier. Now, from where those mark sheets are coming, we don't know. But the level of distrust has now reached very high levels. Now, how does this basically work? Months before the exam actually takes place, it's a network of coaching centers, education consultants, middlemen, YouTubers, Instagrammers who identify those desperate for admissions and who are willing to pay the highest price. Once they get enough likely buyers, no, while they are looking for enough likely buyers or developing a market, they are also searching for who the examiners are or who the likely paper setters are. And then they look for somebody who might leak for money. And this catchment area widens because the paper is also given in multiple languages. So for each paper, there are also translators. Some of that happened in this case. Why are the stakes so high for the families also? The families are so furious. And how many families? It's not a small number of families. 2026 exam, 22,79,000 students appeared. That is 2.279 million students that appeared. For each student, if you take a family, immediate family of say 6 parents, siblings, grandparents, etc. 6. That means a lot of people directly affected by this. And there are many others who may not be directly affected, but they get furious because they think that, look, for my children also, I will need some exam. There'll be JEE, there'll be other exams for jobs, etc. Cluet for law. If this pattern repeats everywhere, then I don't trust the system in its entirety, and that's when people get furious. And look at the financial implications. I will not name any particular coaching center, but coaching business now is a big cutthroat business in India. See those full page ads in your papers every day. Besides the government ads, particularly from state governments, it's the coaching economy which keeps the print media going. And for them to take those ads, money must come from somewhere. So I will not name any particular academy. I will give you indicative prices. Indicative prices for class 11 for 1 year education. Class 11 is not when you are appearing for NEET. Class 11 is preliminary to NEET. So you start preparing 2 years ahead. So class 11, 1 year's fees are about 2 lakh, from 2 lakh to 2 lakh 25,000, depending on what academy you are going to. Ordinary Indian family, it's a lot of money. For Indian students going to public schools, public universities, this is a lot more than your school fees. 2 lakh to 2 lakh 20,000 for the first year. Then for class 12, class 12 is the year at the end of which you appear in NEET. For class 12, that is in one place it's called pre-medical enthusiast. So these products have names also. Pre-medical enthusiast, target 2027. So these products have names also. They are brands. That is again about 2,20,000. What happens now when an exam is cancelled? A NEET exam is cancelled. The government refunds you your money, 1,700 rupees if you live in India. OBC and EWS, economically weaker sections, is 1,600, and SC/ST is 1,000. That money the government refunds to you, but that is a small amount of money, small change compared to what you've already spent for your coaching. And then you think, I begged, borrowed, stole to pay this money for the tuition of my kids, and see what's happened. So it gets young people very angry and it gets the parents very angry. Remember, it's only because of this phenomenon that in China, I will not recommend in India anything that the Chinese do, but it is because of this phenomenon going out of hand that Xi Jinping in China completely banned the coaching and tuition industry. Completely banned it. And you know what happens in China when they ban something and you are caught violating that ban. Although I believe, and I see stuff on Chinese social media also forwarded to me by people, that some of this has gone underground, but it is illegal. The coaching business in China has been banned mainly for these reasons, because the Communist Party of China, Xi Jinping, did not want his young people get angry with the system. And it's this economics that tempts not just individual scamsters, but sophisticated criminal networks. And see what the government now does. Tamper-proof packaging fitted with GPS tracked transport. So the transport goes in the wrong direction. Some GPS will bleep somewhere. QR enabled zipper locks only to be opened by authorized officials in examination centers, all flown by Indian Air Force, supervised by the Prime Minister. How do these networks crack the system? That is something that Ananya Bhardwaj will now join in to explain to us. Ananya, you and your team have been in the thick of it. It's been a rough day. For many, it's their first experience of tear gas. I sometimes pull your legs by saying that all of you become special correspondents without ever having tasted tear gas. All of us like to say in our times, things were much tougher. But you know, the fact is that we used to have so much protest in India that in our times, within your first week, if not in the first week, definitely in the first month as a reporter, you tasted tear gas, and occasionally you got a danda also. I got one here, or maybe a couple couple of stones to hit you. So this was a rough day, but that's what journalists are trained to do, and fortunately, everybody is safe. So you tell us, you unravel for us this conspiracy. You've been covering this. You talk to people in the agencies. How exactly did it come up, and how were these wires then connected?
So first thing is, how was this leak of 2026 different from that of 2024? The main difference is that in 2026, it leaked from the source, that is the National Testing Agency, the NTA. And in 2024, the leak happened during transportation of these papers. So it happened from the strong room where the papers are stacked before the examination. Now, this of course is more dangerous, and why this paper was also cancelled is because, like I said, the leak happened from the source. So the person who's setting the paper and the person who's translating the questions into, say, Marathi, Mr. Kulkarni, the professor who was arrested, and he was the first major arrest in the 2026 case. He was the one who actually had the entire paper.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But he had the paper.
He had the paper, but he allegedly leaked it.
Yes.
And he was in touch with a lot of these business women and men who run the coaching institutes in Maharashtra, these classes, these counseling agencies, the career counseling agencies. So he is in touch with a lot of those people who run these agencies and these counseling centers in Maharashtra, and that is where the leak happened from. But first I'll come to 7th of May. You mentioned that it was the DGP who first got the information about the leak. The guest paper was found circulating on WhatsApp, and there were 400 questions and almost 120 matched exactly. Before that, on this paper was on 3rd of May. On 4th of May, there was a whistleblower. He's also a professor. He went to the local police in Rajasthan and said that I have come across this question paper on Telegram, and this question paper I think was leaked, but nobody actually paid attention to his complaint. The police did not register a case. After that, he went to the police again, and then IB took note of this paper being circulated on Telegram, and that is when it went to the CBI's notice, and SOG was also informed, and they started investigating.
SOG, Special Operations Group.
Special Operations Group. They deal with all these leaks, other leaks that have also happened in Rajasthan, whether it's the police exams, etc., the teachers.
By the time we conclude this episode, I will also give you a list of some significant leaks. By no means definitive, but definitely indicative and scary. Go ahead, Ananya.
So there are a lot of key characters, and this was a good investigation, I would say, because the CBI, when they took over the case, they started from the receivers, and then they went to the source. So basically, it was like backward tracing of where all did the paper go and who all procured it. So first, the SOG actually reached one of the buyer who was in Rajasthan, in Jaipur, and this was the Bibal family. Now, this actually was the first key, I would say, link that could establish the entire trail up to NTA.
Bibal, B-I-W-A-L.
Yes, Bibal family. Now, this Bibal family, very interesting characters. Mr. Dinesh Bibal, who is the member of the Bharatiya Janta Yuva Morcha. Although when we spoke to the BJP, they distanced themselves from him, saying that he's not one of our volunteers or workers. But he had on his Facebook page several photographs that he had clicked with, BJP leaders, and there were posters of him. So he has been quite active in Rajasthan. Yeah, BJYM. So his brother Mangilal was the first one who had actually offered to pay about 10 lakh rupees to procure this paper for his son, who was appearing for NEET. Now, the first character in this entire chain, these were the receivers, the Bibal family, but the person who he had asked for the paper from was this person called Yash Yadav. Now, he is a person from Haryana, from Gurgaon.
So one more state comes in.
Yes, from Gurgaon. And Yash Yadav was in a coaching institute with the son of Mangilal. So he and Mangilal's son Vikas were together in a coaching institute, and he must have told his father that this guy has access to the question paper, and he's saying that if you want the question paper, I can arrange it from somewhere. So, but you tell your father to pay this money. So he put Mangilal in touch with Yash Yadav. Now, Yash Yadav was in turn touch with this guy called Shubham Khairnar.
Take allegedly all as read.
Yeah. So this guy, Shubham Khairnar, he is
Now this takes us back to Maharashtra.
Yes, to Maharashtra. So yeah, Shubham Khairnar is this person from, he's a final year BMS student, and he's from Nashik.
BAMS is the Ayurvedic Medical Sciences course.
Yeah. But before that, I'll tell you a little bit of about Mangilal's family. So they are businessmen, traders from Rajasthan. They had shifted to Sikar a while back, and Mangilal's son, as I said, Vikas, was in touch with this person, Yash Yadav, who was a person in Gurgaon, and they were in a coaching center together in Sikar. Now this person, Yash Yadav, puts Mangilal in touch with Khairnar, Shubham Khairnar. Now, Shubham Khairnar, he is identified by the CBI as the first point of leak from where the paper actually went to the Bilwal family. So, he's the one who actually got the paper digitally from another guy, I'll come to him, Lokhande, and he was in Pune. Yash Yadav was arrested after the CBI took over the case on 12th of May. Mangilal was arrested, his son was arrested, his brother Dinesh was arrested, and Dinesh's two children, Rishi and daughter, they also needed the paper. So basically he told the CBI that I wanted to procure the paper for two of my children. So members of the Bilwal family and this person, Yash Yadav, who had arranged the paper for the Bilwal family from Gurugram, these guys were arrested. And from them, they got to know about this person, Shubham Khairnar, who had actually provided them the paper.
Then how do they get to Professor Kulkarni?
So when the CBI started investigating Khairnar, they found that he was in touch with two more people. Manisha Wagmare, who is a businesswoman, and she also runs this consultancy, this career counseling consultancy, and is also in touch with a lot of these people running coaching institutes in Pune. So Dhananjay actually is himself Pune based and runs a career counseling firm. So he was in touch with Manisha Wagmare, who is friends with Professor Kulkarni. So that was the entire trail. And when Dhananjay Lokhande, when Manisha Wagmare was arrested by the CBI, she told the CBI that actually she had arranged coaching classes.
She allegedly.
Allegedly, yes, allegedly. She allegedly had arranged coaching classes for students, and they were given questions during those classes. Basically, they wrote down those questions by hand, those children. And a lot of those questions appeared in the final exam paper. So the CBI has also recorded statements of those students who had attended those coaching classes, where a lot of these questions were dictated to them by Kulkarni.
We are conscious that we are using the expression children. We are doing it because that's factual. This is class 11 and 12. So this is still people under 17, definitely under 18. So they are children.
So I'll just tell you a little bit about Manisha Wagmare. Like I said, she's a businesswoman from Pune. She allegedly helped Kulkarni, who is the professor, to arrange special classes for students in Pune in the last week of April. So the exam happened on 3rd of May.
So we'll set the paper, we'll also leak it to you, then we'll also teach you how to crack it, right? We'll tell you the answers and also get you to cram the answers so you get it right.
Yeah. So Kulkarni had actually allegedly dictated those questions along with options and the correct answers during these special coaching classes. And like I said, the CBI has now recorded statements of all those students as well. And those handwritten questions by students have also been put on record by the CBI during the investigation.
And all of these people, the businesswoman and the professor, and the family in Rajasthan. All of them are in jail now.
Yes, 13 arrests. All of them are in jail. They have not yet filed the charge sheet in the case. It is still under, I mean, they're preparing it, but they said that they would soon be putting it out, and that will have the entire chain of who did what and how this paper was leaked. But with the information that we have, Professor Kulkarni allegedly was the key person who had access to all the questions, so all sets of questions, which is why when the paper was allegedly leaked by him, the CBI said that we have cracked the case. And he, like I said, was also the translator. So hence he had access to all the question papers. Otherwise, all the paper setters don't have access to the entire.
But this is obviously too late because the exam process has got vitiated.
Yeah.
And the same students or children have had to go and sit in fresh exams, and their parents have had to suffer, and the grandparents and the extended families, and then just the anger that I spent so much money on my coaching and tuition, and what will happen now? And the anxiety.
And one more thing is that Professor Kulkarni had been on the NTA's panel since 2019.
That's how the deep distrust. And you know what? Distrust also comes from hearing about leaks all the time. I will just give you some in the last 2-3 years. 2026 NEET undergraduate paper leak that we spoke about just now. 2024 NEET UG paper leak that we had spoken about earlier. That exam was not cancelled, but a bunch of people were arrested, and there was a big, huge national scandal and anger. Then 2024 UP Police Constable Recruitment Examination paper leak, even for Police Constable exam. In the same year, Bihar Public Service Commission Teachers Recruitment Exam paper leak. 2024, the same year, Jharkhand Staff Selection Commission JSSC Combined Graduate Level CGL paper leak. 2023, Bihar Police Constable Recruitment Exam. 2022, Rajasthan Public Service Commission General Knowledge Group C paper leak. 2021, JEE Mains Joint Entrance Examination for Engineering Colleges paper leak. Again in 2021, Rajasthan seems to be making the wrong kind of mark often, like Bihar. Or REET, or Rajasthan Eligibility Examination for Teachers, REET, that paper leaked. In the same year, 2021, in Uttar Pradesh, Teachers Eligibility Test or UP TET exam also had a leakage. And I will stop at 2021, or maybe we'll have to go on and on and on and on. So this kind of anger does not come from one event. This also does not come from one set of aggrieved people. This comes when people see this all the time, and generally an impression grows that the system is broken, it's unjust, and I've been left behind as a consequence. I've been left behind, it's costing me a lot of money, and nobody's listening to me. And that's when you see people from all corners of the country coming in for a protest like this. And thank you, Ananya, for helping out with this, because this was a complex story. You've done a much better job of decluttering it than I would have done.